and welcome to another Wednesday evening chat with Louise. Now, the subject of living alone and not being lonely was quite an interesting one to talk about. It's had a lot of responses and a lot of messages. And I've learned a lot from the people that have left comments as well. So I wanted to share those. So I thought we'd carry on. I'm just going to recap a little bit. I will say if you do hear a lot of noise, I'm sorry. It's harvesters kicked off in our little village and the tractors are flying by at the moment with getting the corn into the grain dryer. So I do apologise if there's a lot of noise. But going back over the two videos I've done about living on your own, I just thought I'd quickly recap. First of all, I think the biggest thing of the biggest fear is not being in control. If you've lived with somebody previously and this is the first time you're on your own or you're hurting after a breakup, it's very important to have a support network. And the first thing I did was tradesmen. I made a little kind of folder of people I could call on to do odd jobs, things I couldn't do myself, and people that I trusted. So I asked friends for recommendations and things like that. Getting control of your finances, that was another big one for me. You haven't got another income coming in, it's all down to you, and I think that can be a crippling fear. So again, look at what you bring in, look at what goes out, look at what you can cut back on, look at what are important and are non-negotiable, and look at what helps out there for you as well. So again, I think that those are finances and a network of support. In that support, I think you should include neighbours as well. Do you know your neighbours? You know, when you live on your own, having somebody next door that if you're frightened, if you've heard something or somebody's called that you don't want, knowing you could speak to them can be a big help. So I know that's not always possible in towns and cities. I'm very lucky I live in a village. I'm very lucky I know people, but it's worth thinking about getting, that network of like tradesmen that you can rely on that can come and fix things if you had a leak or something went wrong with the electrics, but equally just somebody on the end of the phone that you know you can talk to if you're feeling worried or scared. And then the other thing was to write down things that bother you. If something's really scaring you or really worrying you, write it down, sleep on it, and when you wake up the next morning, go through that list and look at it and think, how will that affect me in 5 years' time? How will that affect me in a month's time? How will that affect me? And you can sort of narrow it down then and know how it's going to affect you. And often I would worry about something, one, I couldn't do anything about. So what was the point of worrying about it? And two, in a year or two's time, it would have made absolutely no difference to me at all. But I can worry for England. I am an overthinker. So you have my full understanding if you're the same as well. So don't allow fear to creep in. And by doing these things, you can start to take back little by little control of your life. Then how do you cheer yourself up? What else do you do when you're living on your own? Because you've got all this time on your hands now. You're not running around looking after somebody else. You can please yourself. So having something to look forward to. And one of the first things I did, I think somebody commented that it was shallow, but I thought it was important to make myself feel better. I stopped saving things for best. I started wearing everything in my wardrobe that made me feel better. I got rid of the things that didn't fit. Got rid of the things that reminded me or brought back memories that made me feel sad. They all went, and I started to wear everything I got, and I started to put a little bit of makeup on, do my hair. So make sure, even though I didn't feel I got a reason to get up in the morning, or I didn't want to because I work from home and I work online and I don't have to show myself very often, so it's like, you know, I could have easily gone into hermit mode and hide away, but I was determined not to. So, I've got my pet fly back again today. So when I go back to looking forward to things, I have got a lovely network of friends. We're all very busy, but we do plan things together. So having something to look forward to is really important. And I know when you're first sad, you don't even want to be around friends because they might be happy, they might be in their relationships and they're fine, but it is important to spend time with them. So when I was feeling really sad and didn't want to necessarily be around people, then I would go to the cinema. And this was quite a strange thing because it's something I'd never done on my own before. So I chose a matinee. I chose something that I didn't think loads of kids would be at. And I went to where I live, we've got some really small local cinemas still. They're not the big multiplexes. So I could go in an afternoon. I mean, there's even one of them I could get a cup of coffee, sit and have a coffee and watch a film. And though I wasn't interacting with people, I was out, and I loved it. It's so much nicer to be out and watch something on a big screen than be stuck at home watching something on television. So that's a good way of getting there. Choose a matinee, choose the afternoon, because you're not going to have as many people. When you're going in there, you're not going to have to sit flies around me mad next to people. But you're around people without feeling like you've got to interact, if you like. Another one that another lady commented on one of the last videos, which I thought was a good idea, was just shop in a different town. If you live, in a village, or you could go to the nearest city or go to the nearest town, but go to a slightly different place. Just take another bus or drive a little bit further and meet new people, and just saying hello to people, like we're saying about smiling and complimenting people. Getting out and having a change of scenery can do you the world of good. So I thought that was a really great tip, and I have actually done that myself as well. Another one, a lady left a comment to say that she goes to a local library. She can sit and read there, but equally there's lots of notices about what's going on in the local area, and she's met some lovely people that way, some lovely women's groups that way as well. And she talks to the librarians, and it's another good way of getting out. If you're in a big place, sometimes I find, because I have lived in cities, and you're more lonely in a city because it's so hard to know who's safe to talk to or where to go that's safe. So I think starting in sometimes church groups for people, you don't have to be religious, there's lots of other groups. Go onto local community Facebook pages and chat to people on there about what's going on in the local area. And it's a case of, who are you and what do you like? Because I think we lose ourselves as women, definitely. And I think sometimes that we can have to find ourselves again. And I know that sounds a little bit like, but who are you? What do you like to do? Were there things when you were younger that you did that you would enjoy doing now? I used to ride. I had horses a lot of my life, and now having horses is just not an option. But to go to a local riding school, we're lucky we have beach rides near us. I can go and do that. That's an amazing experience. So what is it that you love doing? Do you like to paint? Do you like to read? What is it? I like to write as well. All those things you've now got time to do. Share your experiences as well. There are a lot of women's refuges and women's groups that might enjoy having you there for you to share your story and to help them. And by, what you're going through, you can help other people. So that can be another way of getting out there and meeting people, but also doing some good at the same time. When I said that about previously as well, about being kind to yourself, and it's interesting how many people struggle with that. And I think sitting and listening to the silence can be one of the biggest fears of living alone. So when we suggest that resting, allowing yourself to stop when you need to stop, allowing yourself to, like I say, be kind to yourself, love yourself, doing those things, getting nice food that's nourishing for you, making that time to cook a meal when you don't really feel like it and you're feeling a bit sick and you're feeling a bit fed up, but still trying to do your best, trying to feed your body and look after it. And like I say, taking a rest when you need to. But a lot of people don't want to rest because resting means silence. Resting means you've got to actually sit with that loneliness. And I think it's quite a good idea to see where your triggers are. Because I know to begin with, it was great because I started decluttering, and it was that mad, don't want to sit with myself, don't want to have to think about anything, but if I keep really, really, really busy and exhaust myself, then maybe I'll sleep. And that's okay for a while, but you do have to allow your body to read, and you do have to grieve. You also have to learn to sit with the silence. And after a while, you'll sit in that silence, and that peace gives you inner peace. It will make you feel relaxed. It will make you feel happy. And you have to trust me on that one, because I know to begin with it doesn't feel like that. But I do think if you get triggered, write it down. What is it that today has made me feel sad? What is it today that has made me feel scared? What is it today that has made me feel whatever that feeling is? And equally, what is it that makes you feel happy? What made you feel peaceful? What made you feel safe? So I'm hoping some of the things we're talking about might give you some ideas, because a lot of people, when they talk about loneliness, and you know, it's that sitting with yourself in silence and letting go of the past, and that's all well and good, but it's hard. It is hard, and it's a process, and it's also takes time. You have to allow yourself to heal. And there was a few of the ladies as well that commented, talked about therapy, how they'd had therapy, having therapy, and how it's helping them. And I'm sorry, I do talk about ladies a lot. I know there's a lot of men that are going through this as well, and you're very welcome. And I say, do take from this what you can. But from a therapy point of view, there is no shame in therapy anymore. You know, in the old days, people didn't like to admit that they were asking for help. But family and friends haven't always got the time, the expertise. You just don't want to share, because I know a lot after breakups, or the fact we can be a year or two on and not coping as people think we should. For them, a week after, it's old news. They've moved on with their life, but you're still dealing with whatever it is, whether it's bereavement in whatever shape or form. So online, you can do Zoom online now. You can get counselling, you can book it yourself. It's a really good way. And if you can't afford to do that, then again, go back to the women's groups again, go onto the online and look for ways that you can get support. Because I think it's really important, rather than repeating cycles, rather than rushing out there to get into another relationship to fill the gap, rather than giving up. Now is the time to find you. Now is the time to enjoy it. So let's just think about some of the really good bits about living on your own. You get the bed all to yourself. You could be a starfish. If you're hot or cold, you can have a fan on all night, and it doesn't matter about the noise. You can have it absolutely pitch black if that's how you like it. There are so many positives to it. You eat when you want. You sleep when you want. You can do what you want. It's like being, you know, if you want a cream cake for breakfast, have a cream cake for breakfast. You know, you can go where you want. And I do think this is as scary as it is, you know, invigorating, if you like, because that first time of not actually worrying about looking after other people, it's a bit like when your children leave home, that empty nest feeling, but equally suddenly that freedom comes. And I just think, try and embrace that, try and make that exciting, try and think again, what do I like, what can I do for me? I can do a workout in the middle of my little room, and it doesn't matter. I can watch whatever channels I want on telly, and it doesn't matter. And like I say, if I want to get up at 3 in the morning, if you like, or 2 or 8 a.m. because I can't sleep and I want to write or I want to watch telly, I can. I can be a starfish in bed. Yay, it's all mine. So do try, if you can, to find those positives. And it's all down to you. Yes, it's all down to you. As frightening as that may be, but liberating as well. So I hope, just going over some of those things, sharing some of the wisdom of some of the lovely comments that everybody has given me. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for messaging. I really appreciate your comments. I've learned so much myself. You helped me too. And like I say, even if it's a comment where you don't understand me, or you know where I'm coming from, that's fair enough, because we're all different. We all cope in different ways. And I really hope that you enjoy living on your own, and that the loneliness doesn't become crippling for you. So I'm going to link the other 2 videos in the description as well, so if you want to watch what we talked about previously, and then you'll be able to see the comments on there as well from people. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the subscribers and the likes and the comments. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.